All right, let's go over the remaining parts of the review here. Like I said, I'm going to focus on the odds. On these two sections, 20 and 21, you have to determine if the lines are parallel by checking the ratios. If the ratios are the same, then the lines are parallel. So if you look on 23 here, they gave me the whole side for the 64. Let me get my pen, sorry. Get this. All right, so this represents the whole segment. Where if I look over here, I have parts. Now I can add to get the parts, or since I already have the parts, and the parts that are across each other are going to help me set up my ratio. So I can find this missing part, AD here, by just subtracting. I'm going to write it over to the side. 64 minus the 28. Well, that would give me 36. Okay, so now I can do part to part. This 36 is to, if I want to keep on the same side, which is 28, so this is both on this part AB, would equal to the 20.7 over 16.1. So there's two ways we can check for same ratio, like literally just reduce, okay, each one, or, I'm sorry, or you can cross multiply. And that, we talked about that on the calculator. Let me get out of here. So if I want to reduce, I can go X here. I have the 16.1 over our 20.7. See, that fraction is going to give me the decimal answer. I'm just going to check to see if they're the equivalent. And then if I had, sorry, what was it, 28 over our 36. That's 7/9. If I want to see what decimal that is, I can just do 7 divided by 9. And they get the same decimal right here, 0.7 repeating. Or you could have done your cross products. So let me go back to our sheet here. We could have just cross multiply here, doing the 28 times the 24, or the 20.7. And that would have gave us 59, I feel like 79.6. And then the 36 times the 16.1. And this would have gave us the same number. Since we have the same ratio, which reduced to the 0.7, since they were the same ratio or the same cross products, this would be a yes. Okay. Now part 5, parts of similar triangles. This was in our spiral after our blue flip book. So we had some notes over this. It had the altitude, the median, the angle bisector. So what you want to remember, altitude is the segment that's perpendicular from the vertex to the side. We see the boxes, that tells me we have the altitudes here. So I can compare those together. My x altitude goes with the 24 altitude, and in that triangle that would be 35 is to 42. And so then we're just cross multiplying. So on here, the median rule, I know this is the median because we see these tick marks here. The median is 16. That median goes to the side 28.8. Here the median is 11. And that corresponds to the side x. We're going to cross multiply here and here. So this will give me 16x equals 316.8. And then you just divide it by 16. Okay. So x is 19.8. Okay. Now on 25, this is the angle bisector. This was in the flip book. In our examples, we had to remember to find the missing part by using the whole segment. So we know this is 34 is the whole. This is the other part, 18. So I can find this piece by doing 34 minus 18, which is 16. So I can have this. And then to me, the easier way of setting up is an angle bisector. bisects into two triangles here, two angles, congruent angles. I can keep the left side together, which is 40 over 16. Keep the right side together, x over 18. And then we're just cross multiplying, so my 16x equals 720, x would be 45. Okay, so that takes care of that topic. The last topic is similar right triangles, which is what we just finished with our foldable and some practice, and then geometric mean. Hold on just a second. So let's talk about the different rules for that. Oops, sorry. Okay, for the topic 6, similar right triangles and geometric mean, we discussed this about how this is the proportion you can set up to get your geometric mean for between two numbers. A and B basically represent the number, okay? Or you can just multiply the two numbers and take the square root. So to find your value here, I'm going to do the 12 times 9. That gives me 108, and then take the square root of that, which gives me approximately 10.4. Okay. Now, if you have a radical, a number with a square root, you're still multiplying those. And I tend to use parentheses to show that multiplication. So my x is the square root of multiplying, parentheses, my 6 root 6 times my 6 root 6. If I do this, use parentheses or type this in my calculator, it'll come out to be a whole number. So I'm going to clear this out. So if I do parentheses 6, and then I have to do second x squared to get my radical, arrow to the right, close the parentheses, and then 6 root 6, arrow to the right, close the parentheses. Multiply those together. Oh, it wasn't 6 root 6, it was 3 root 6, sorry. Let me change that, apologize on that. That gives me 108 again. I forgot, this should have been 3. I misread that. And we just did that. And so we already know that answer is approximately 10.4. Okay. And then like in the calculator, you just to do the square root of that product, put it underneath the radical and hit enter. 10.4 here is because we're going to round. We got 3 with a 9 after it. All right, then the last, you have to take the given information and determine what method you're using, either heartbeat or boomerang. Remember, if you have something labeled inside the excuse me, the triangle, then this should be heartbeat. Remember, we're following the EKG, boop, like that. Heartbeat, the acronym for heartbeat is part, then altitude, altitude part, or we can set that as part over altitude equals altitude over part. Our parts here are 20 and 9, and our altitude is the x, that's the A. So when I set this up, we should have 20 over x equals x over 9. And then we're going to cross multiply and take the square root, because when we cross multiply here, that is x squared equals 180, and then we're taking the square root. Okay. Now, on 13 here, because there's nothing in the interior here, there's no altitude marked or label, then we're using boomerang. And boomerang is when you take the hypotenuse, go to the leg, HL, then back down the leg to the part. The hypotenuse is the distance here to adding these two parts together. Let me scroll up, sorry. And that distance, let me fix this, get my hypotenuse here. Oops. This H is going to be 33. The leg is the X. The part, when I come back, so if I'm doing my boomerang, I'm going through the hypotenuse to the leg, back down the leg, and I'm stopping at the adjacent part. So the part is the 18 here. So the setup is H over L equals L over P. H is your hypotenuse, which was 33. The leg was X over X, the leg, to the part 18. And then we're cross multiplying and taking the square root to solve for x. So just make sure you're picking the right method, the right rule. Like 32 here, x is the altitude, so this would be heartbeat again. Thought I had it on here, maybe it's not showing. There it is. And then you have to remember sometimes 12 is a part. This part is missing, and I can get that missing part by just doing the whole segment, the hypotenuse, which is 28, minus the 12. So our missing part here is 16. And then we can just set up our heartbeat. Part over altitude, altitude over part. And here, 33 is boomerang, but we're going this direction. So you do need that missing part here, which again is also 16.
You have a key. They locked me out.
Yeah. All right, and the last one, you need to determine which rule for each variable. I would start with the y here, or you can start with the x, but if you do the x, since this is a leg, sorry, then you need to do boomerang, taking this whole hypotenuse, which is 10, going to the leg, which is x, come back down the leg, and stop at the part. Hypotenuse over leg equals leg over part. So our setup would be 10 over x equals x over 6. So x is boomerang, y is heartbeat. Okay, here's our parts, our 6. Altitude is the y, back down the altitude to the other part, 4. So this would be 6 over y equals y over 4. And then z is also a leg, which means you're doing boomerang again. We'll see if you can get those done. These are all decimal answers. All right, thanks guys.